Good morning, class. Standard 9, 10 History and Civics class. Today's chapter is Indian History, the Growth of Nationalisms, Chapter 2. So, from here onwards, after the First War of Independence, there's continuations, growth of nationalisms, radical leaders, moderates, so on. The Indian history will continue. During this growth of nationalisms, there are a lot of restriction put on Indian people by the Britishers. They should not have a weapon in the hand without license or buy it. Vernacular Press Act, they cannot publish any other than English. So many repressive policy they brought. Even that. So what is the main causes of growth of nationalisms? In this, the top leaders Surendranath Banerjee, W.C. Banerjee, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Jyoti Palu, these are great leaders during these times fighting for freedoms, reforms for the Indian people. They raised their voice to give justice to the Indian people. And in between, there is a formation of Indian National Congress. Before 1884, it was the Indian National Union. The Congress was there. Then the founder, Mr. A.O. Hume, who was the retired civil service in British, he wrote an open letter to Calcutta University to why don't you form organizations. In the same organization platform, you can fight against the Britishers. So he consulted all the leaders, Congress leaders, and finally in 1885, December 25th, the Congress was founded. Mr. A.O. Hume is the founder of the Indian National Congress. From there onwards, it started. Now let's see the factors promoting the growth of nationalism. First point, the economic exploitation by the Britishers. Second one, repressive policy of the Lord Lytton, who was the Governor General of India. He brought the repressive policy of the Lord Lytton. Third one, socio-religious movement, a rise of middle class, rediscovery of India's past, a spread of Western educations, a role of press. These are the chapters, headings. You will go by one. Now first I will talk about economic exploitations by Britishers. The economic made everybody is poor because they looted Indian wealth. They looted Indian gold, mining, iron ore, even agriculture. They made a colony, economic colony for Britishers. Everything will go from India. The economic exploitation of India after the revolt of 1857, they became worse. The earlier it was mainly the English East India Company which was exploiting, but now many more British traders tried to make India into the economic colony. Yes, suppliers of raw materials and the place to dump their manufactured goods. The heavy tax paid by the Indians were not spent for the welfare of the Indian people. British were draining all the wealth from India in the form of profits, savings, salaries and pensions. All sections of Indian society felt the effect of economic exploitation by the British and realized that quite drastic steps were needed to correct the situation. This automatically led to an upsurge of nationalist favor. That is making India an economic colonies likewise. Now we will come to the poor village economy. Introduction of Jamindari system left the villages at the mercy of landlords. Landlord of the peasants, the farmers, could be taken anytime by the landlord. Peasants were forced to grow crops like opium, indigo, jute, tea for use of raw materials in the British industries. The production of good food grains were restricted. Whatever uh, uh, the Britishers telling to the farmers, you have to grow this item only. You want to grow the indigo or opium or cotton, any raw materials, they have to grow. Otherwise, they will take up the land. This also, along with the landlord, also the small farmers having small land and giving money, them grab the land from them. So likewise, now decline of handicrafts, because the handicraft also most important in India, daily wages, daily uh, livelihood. So they have to earn from that. When the Britishers came, everything is spoiled. The mill traders' British clothes were much cheaper than the handmade clothes. Soon the looms in Indian homes become silent. Heavy duties imposed on export of Indian goods. Machine made goods flooded Indian market. Foreign goods came, the Indian industries all come down. So Britishers brought all the machine made items to India. So those people, some people are there. If you foreign item is coming, so this is a foreign item, you can immediately buy that. So likewise those days was there. They don't know that is Indian own economy is going to down. So next, tax burden. There is a heavy tax. Suppose 1 rupee tax, 1 rupee salt making cost. They're putting 10 rupees on tax on that. The Indians are making 1 rupee per kg, but Britishers putting 10 rupees per kg on tax. Where they will go, the farmers? Manufacture, where they will go? They're going to lose the jobs. Heavy revenue was laid on the land by the landlords. Much of the harvested crop went to the landlord as revenue or other dues. Farmers were left with the little survive. The limited opportunity for Indian traders and merchants. A network of export controlled by the Indian traders and merchants was restricted. They could not trade in manufactured goods with Europe. Indians in shipping business also suffered a setback. The railways and other industry were set up in India in such a way to help the British industry, because the railway line, telecommunication, all they brought for the transporters purpose, the British goods, whatever it is. They the item has come from one place to one place to move the goods. From there, it will depart to Britishers. So likewise. Now I will come to the referendary policy of Lord Lytton. This is one what do you call Lord Curzon. One of after his reliever came and he made a Hindu-Muslim divide and rule in partition of Bengal in 1905. After this, before that, Lord Lytton has made so many policies, referendary policies. Referendary policy means it's strong policies. Nobody can open their mouth and talk against that policies. So what are these policies? Racial discriminations. The British policy of racial discriminations hurt the sentiments of the Indians. Racial discriminations, color, creed, caste, so many things. They treated Indian like a slave, like a servant, like a worker, like a bonded labor. They treated like hell. The Britishers never mixed with the Indians. They never mixed with them. All they want. That's why we call Dore. Dore is calling. The British all officers Dore means the sir, boss, likewise. They had their separate living area, clubs, theatres where Indians were not welcome. They made a separate theatre, separate school, separate auditorium, separate club, but Indians are not allowed to sit there and go there. All top jobs in civil services or the army were reserved for the British and other Europeans who often took pride in insulting the Indians. With higher officer completely Europeans and as well as Britishers. Indians is a low category job. The Arms Act of 1878 required Indians to have license to carry or keep arms, while the Europeans could do so without a license. If Indians want to buy any weapons or keep the arms, you have to get license, then only they'll issue. Not for Europeans. They don't need any license required. Under Lord Ripon, the members of Government of General Executive Council introduced a bill that is called Ilbert Bill to grant Indian judges who were as qualified as European judges to power to try Europeans. This Ilbert controversy was there. Next sub-chapter is there. I can explain that. That means he brought this bill. Indian judges not try to the European people. Only the Indian people can try petty cases. But he brought this bill. The Indian judges also can try European convicts. There was uproar against the passing of this bill in the original form. Finally, the European offenders were given the right to ask for a trial by jury, half of which would be whites. This made the Indians realize that under the present setup, even the Viceroy wanted to help the Indians, he could not. Thus, the only way to get justice would be to change the very setup of authority in India. But finally is withdrawn. That bill, Ilbert Bill, is withdrawn. This made the Indians realize that under the present setups, that's totally disappointed judges. Now I will come to the Vernacular Press Act 1878. This Vernacular Press Act means local languages. Other than local language, only English paper can publish. No regional language will publish in newspapers. Like a Marathi, Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, whatever it is. Only English newspaper can publish. If you do anything, because why regional language they are not allowed? Because easily the people can understand the regional language. English that doesn't know. The Indian people, those people doesn't know the English. Nobody can read or write. So that's why they want to spread the message through regional languages. So it will reach the people very soon. They can understand the problem of the Indians' problem, and they can know what is British are doing on us. That's why the regional language, local language, is called vernacular. Vernacular Press Act 1878, what he did, the vernacular papers were widely read. They had a great mass appeal which prompted Lord Lipton to pass the Vernacular Press Act, apprehensive of the growing nationalism. Newspapers in vernacular languages were banned by the Britishers, because if we ban, that message won't go to the people. So that's why they banned. Government consent was required before publishing any news or editorial. If any news are publishing, the government permission is required. The vernacular, if the publisher did not comply, their printers were to be confiscated. It has, if this was repeated, the press could be seized. If any publisher making the regional language, the printing press as well as press office also seized by the Britishers. The vernacular newspapers like the Bengal Gazette, the Sambat, Kaumudi, the Mritul Akbar, the Kesari, and other to encourage nationalism among the Indians. Both of the newspapers and the literature of this time managed to arouse the feelings of nationalism in the minds of people. This newspaper made great work of growth of nationalism, to aware, to spread the message the what British was doing on Indians. Next, Indians Arms Act 1878. Indians could not keep, sell or purchase arms without a license. This is the Vernacular Press Act. Next, Afghan War. This was an unnecessary war waged by Lytton that further burdened Indian economy. They fought against the Afghan War. The Indian soldier also with them. Loss of economic loss on that war. Next, extravagance at Delhi Darbar 1877. Most of the areas in Delhi were affected by a worst ever famine from 1876 to 1878. Famine means the food shortage. Excuse me. Food shortage was happened. It led to the huge loss of life. Villages were deserted. Large tracts of land were left uncultivated. Revenue collection continued, which was inhuman. Amidst this, Indian treasure was emptied in holding Delhi Darbar, were extravagance to declare Queen Victoria as the Empress of India. Now next, lowering the age of civil services examination for Indians. It was 21 to 19 years they brought. Previous it was 19 up to 21 years they apply. Then they brought 21 years to 19 years can apply. Because at the same time the England, whoever want to, that is now they call IAS, Indian Administrative Service. Those civil service examinations, that is ICS, Indian Civil Service Examinations, they have to go to London and write the exam. The reformers requested both similarly the exam will conduct in India as well as London. So Indians could not offer the travelling from here India to London. So likewise, the every effort was made to discriminate between Indians and Europeans. The maximum age limit for civil services examination was lowered to 19 from 21 to make it difficult for Indians to compete. Where they will go? 19 lowered to 19 from 21. That means 21 years to 19 years they brought it. Now next I will come to the socio-religious reform movement. This time there is so many association opened by the leaders, Congress leaders as well as public leaders. First I will talk to Raja Ram Mohan Rai, set up a Brahma Samaj in 1828. Swami Vivekananda set up the Ramakrishna Mission in 1897. Dayananda Saraswati set up the Arya Samaj in 1875. The Theosophical Society was set up by the Colonel Alcott and Madam Blavatsky. Annie Besant was co-founder of the Theosophical Society. The unique feature of these movements was that they did not ignore the political aspect of human life. All these reformers tried to teach equality and to do away with the caste system. They gave special attention to women's position in society and their education. They all tried to instill confidence in the minds of the Indians and make them proud of their culture. The political aspect of the life was not ignored. Dayananda Saraswati said, India for the Indians. This is in brief what the reformers wanted Indians to feel. Around the same time, Badruddin Tyabji worked for the upliftment of women. Other educated Muslim people spoke up against Parda system, polygamy. So we see both Hindus and Muslims tried to do away with the evils which had crept in to be ready to face the challenges of the Britishers. Now, rise of middle class. Educated middle class, also women, children, everybody that waken up. The eyes are open when the nationalism is spread over across the India. The most revolutions that bring changes in lifestyle are mainly supported by the middle class. The rich are happy with the situation as it exists, while the poor have very little energy for bringing about large scale changes. It is usually the middle class which is the backbone of any revolution. India's middle class had expanded at this time. There were doctors, teachers, and lawyers who clearly understood that it was the British economic policy which was responsible for Indian plight, P-L-I-G-H-T. There were the ones who went all out to form societies and movements to bring around the change in India. In these periods, there is a rediscovery of the past. What is that? Reinterpretation of Indian history. Now I will talk about the reinterpretation of the Indian history. Glorious development in the ancient time were highlighted. Indian art, architecture, science, mathematics, religion, culture, law and philosophy were popularized. Readers were argued to develop pride in India's past achievements. They soon become proud of the past and got ready to build a great future. Now, nationalist novels. Novels like Anand Math, Neil Tarpan inspired Indians against British atrocities. Atrocity means aggressive, cruel, normally called cruel. Now, nationalist images like that of Bharat Mata attracted Indians. National flag was designed by different nationalist leaders to give an all India preview. No, Asiatic, Asiatic Society of Bengal. The Asiatic Society was set up to study Indian history and culture. This was set up. Now, excavations at Sarnath, Chanchi. Sir Alexander Cunningham helped in the excavations at Sarnath and Sanchi. James Prinsep was able to puzzle out the Kharosthi out script and read what was carved on the pillars of Ashoka. Later, the discovery of Indus Valley civilization helped to rebuild the glory of ancient India. From Harappan civilization to Ashoka pillar, now that Ashoka pillar is now Indian emblem, 4 lines. Next, a translation of Indian texts, how they translated. A number of European scholars studied Indian ancient works, translated them and helped the common man regain self-confidence. Max Muller studied the Vedas and translated the Rig Veda and clearly expressed his ideas in this book, India, What It Can Teach Us. This is a book he wrote. Now, spread of English language and the Western education. The Western education came, so many people are converted to Hindu, from Hindu to Christian. Some people are converted to Hindu to Muslim or Muslim to Hindu. I don't know, that is history says. So many things. This spread of English language is more popular those days. The teaching of English and Western education also played a major role in the rise of nationalism. By learning English, Indians came closer to the another as English served as a link language in India. Western ideas learnt through his works, Rosia and Carbaldi, enthused Indians' mind. The slogans of French Revolution, liberty, equality, and fraternity, were learnt by Indians. Through Western education, Indians learned how to British themselves treated their cruel monarch, how many hanged King Charles I in 1649 as he was very cruel. Indians also came to know that James II had been forced to abdicate his throne in 1688 AD. All this made Indians feel that they also had a right to get rid of their cruel rulers. Now, this is the most important role of press. What press had done during this growth of nationalism periods. Criticize the wrongdoings of the Britishers, educate the Indians, arouse the spirit of nationalism, mobilize public opinion on important issues. Day-to-day basis, they publish the newspaper to spread the message to the people of India. This is what Britishers doing with us. Next, growth of Indian press, Bengal Gazette, Miratul Akbar, Indian Social Reformer, Amrit Bajar Patrika, Maratha, Sambat, Kaumudi, Shom Prakash, Rast Gofter, Kesari. The English newspaper started in 19th century. Times of India, Pioneer, Madras Mail, Statement. These are old newspapers. Still is going on. Times of India still moving on. Next, we'll come to great reformers. There are some great reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Jyotiba Phule. These are the reformers. They work really to Indian people to overcome it. Let's talk about Raja Ram Mohan Rai, 1872-1833. He was. What is this contributions of the Raja Ram Mohan Rai? For your exams, this all come for contribution of Raja Ram Mohan Rai by Jyoti Phule. Two names. Advocated Western education, he did. Synthesized religion and morality. Set up Hindu college in Calcutta. Opposed caste system. Emphasized woman liberty. Spoke for abolition of sati. Voice against idolatry. Popularized Vedanta philosophy. Stood for freedom of press. Economic liberalism. Founded Brahma Samaj in 1828. Nationalism, internationalism. These all his contributions, he made it. Next, we will talk about Jyoti Phule. This is one of the educated. He worked with women and children. For education field, he worked hard. Next, emancipation of lower caste. Emphasized women education. Opened school for girls and lower caste. Opened orphanages where young widows and their children were settled. Advocated widow remarriage. Formed Satya Sadak Samaj in 1873. Opposed child marriage. Opposed religious dogmas. What do you mean dogmas? Dogmas means against. Teacher. He is always teaching about the dogmas against. That is not correct. Dogmas is not correct. Regarding truth. Dogmas means regarding truth you will tell to people. You oppose religious dogmas. Some people are telling I will do that, this one. No, you will go against that. Work for the creation of equitable society. These all his contributions to women and children. That's why the Indian women are become educated. They learned Western educations. Now next, early association or procedures of the Indian National Congress. This is the Indian National Congress. Previous it was Indian National Union till 1884. When 1885, Mr. A.O. Hume, a civil service retired officer from British, who wrote to open letter to the Calcutta University to why don't you start with organize one associations. So that's why the Indian National Congress was born in 1885, December 25th. So Indian Association 1876 it was named. It was set up by Surendra Banerjee in Kolkata. Main objectives were to create strong public opinion, to promote unity among Indians, to broaden the base of national movement. It launched agitation against oppressive acts such as the License Act, the Arms Act, and the Vernacular Press Act, and also struggled against lowering age limits in ICS, Indian Civil Service Examination, and against oppression by the Jamindars. Next, the East India Company Association in 1866. It was organized by the Dadabhai Nauroji in 1866 in London to let the British in London know the problem faced in India. It influenced people in England to promote Indian welfare. He is one type of told he was the unofficial ambassador to England, normally called. Next, formation of the Indian National Congress. As I told you, the founder is Mr. A.O. Hume. It was formed in December 1885. The first secretary of Indian National Congress was Mr. A.O. Hume. It was Dadabhai Nauroji who gave the name Indian National Congress to this association. It aimed to provide safety valve for the British Empire against the growing incontent among the Indians. The many prominent Indian leaders as Dadabhai Nauroji, Feroz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tyabji, Uman Chandra Paul Banerjee also played an important role in formation of Indian National Congress. So these objectives, learning to formulate just demands and then placing this in front of the British, making people politically aware, uniting the people of India, planning for future of the country. These are their objectives, Indian National Congress. A demand of Indian National Congress. The demand made by Congress first session under W.C. Banerjee, the first president, were simple. At this time, the Congress wanted Indians to have right to carry arms. The Congress demanded that there should be more members in legislatures or councils. They wanted that money spent on the armed forces should be reduced and rather spent on spreading education and on the welfare of the people. To help Indian students to take Indian civil service examinations, the Congress wanted them to be held both in England as well as in India. The Congress wanted to more Indians to be employed not in lower ranks but also in higher positions. So, you want to learn this growth of nationalism. Regarding Indian National Congress, you must know who is the founder, what is their objectives, and who is the first president of Indian National Congress and second president. These two things you have to remember for your exam. Other than nothing will come. Objectives, demands, and president of Indian National Congress from 1885 and 1886. First and second president of National Congress sessions. Founder Mr. A.O. Hume is a retired British civil servant who gave the idea to form an association in India. That's why the Indian National Congress was founded in 1885, December 25th. Good morning, class. Stay safe, stay home.